The Elephant Man. This is directed by David Lynch. Probably, strangely enough, this is one of his most normal movies, which is saying a lot for David Lynch. In fact, it is his only movie to date that has been nominated for a Best Picture Oscar. He was nominated for Best Director for this as well. He was also nominated for Best Director of course, Blue Velvet as well as Mulholland Drive, but those movies didn't get nominated. So this one holds that kind of record as being the only David Lynch film to be nominated for this particular award, Best Picture. Also nominated for Best Actor, John Hurt, who is incredible in this movie. Movie basically basic plot. I mean, there's this elephant man, John Merrick, who's horribly deformed. Horribly deformed. He's in a circus. Then a doctor, played by Anthony Hopkins, he discovers him in the medical marvel that he is, and kind of introduces him into, so to speak, the real world. And it is kind of a journey to find his own humanity. And the fact that, like, I do believe they kind of decided to make this film all in black and white, to not make the makeup too distracting, because I couldn't. I think I have seen pictures, like maybe online, of what it looks like in color, but it should be in black and white. I think because it brings kind of a mystique to the film, and it doesn't make it too distracting. And I think because of that, because of its visual style and the choices that Lynch made in presenting it that way, it enhances John Hurt's performance, which is a brilliant performance. Like, he's one of the greats, absolutely one of the greats. This is the only film that he's been nominated for an Oscar for, surprisingly. Of course, Robert De Niro won that year for Raging Bull, and Ordinary People won Best Picture. But I mean, this one is definitely, top 10 John Hurt performances. This is number one, definitely number one. The fact that he is able to exude this character's personality through the makeup is very, very impressive, and the fact that he does have to alter his voice because he is very, very disfigured. So not everything works the way it should. And that classic line, "I am not an animal. I am a human being. I am a man." When he does it, that's just heartbreaking because this is a kind of movie where you kind of think, "Well, geez, I think I have it bad. I stepped in a puddle today, or I didn't get the promotion at work, or whatever. I stepped on a Lego. I don't know." But you know, his humanity that we feel is kind of just like a right, not a privilege. He's treated as an animal, put in basically a zoo, a sideshow, and then he's so shocked by these people who are treating him almost as an equal. But that's kind of where the dilemma with the doctor character, played by Anthony Hopkins, lies. He's like, well, am I really just doing the same thing but in a different context? Like, he's being put on display for a sideshow. I'm putting him on display for science. Am I pretty much just doing the same thing? And it's right that the movie would ask that question because that's something that we as the viewer would ask. But the thing is, the focus with the Hopkins character, it's almost inconsequential to John Merrick's experience, which he does indeed find his humanity. And the thing is, the ending, and I'm going to give spoilers here, you kind of wonder, basically, the movie, again, I mentioned it is kind of David Lynch's most normal kind of seeming movie, but there's two vignettes at the beginning and end of the film. First one, you see like or you hear like the circus music going, and like you see like elephant stamping, and it kind of suggests maybe that John Merrick's mother was trampled by an elephant, or perhaps something else by an elephant, and that's kind of what gave him this horrible disfigurement. But then at the end, again, it focuses on like the image of his mother. Like, his mother was beautiful, and he's always in awe. He carries the locket. Basically, with the end, you're left to wonder: did he just simply die? Because if he sleeps a certain way, I can't stress this enough. He is horribly, horribly disfigured. His body doesn't work the way it should work, so if he sleeps a certain way, his skull will cave in and kill him, which it does at the end of the film. Um, but you're left to wonder, was that just an accident, or was that his intention? Like, he's finally achieved kind of a peace in the world, and he's ready to move on into the next world. So that's kind of what the movie asks, and I don't know. I think, it is the latter. So it is kind of a beautiful movie in not too obvious of a way. But the performances are great. I mean, of course, by John Hurt, which I mentioned. Like, he is just amazing. This is just one of the best performances that you'll ever see, I think, in my opinion. And of course, Tony Hopkins as well. Like, there's that one great scene where he sees the Elephant Man for the first time, and like the single tear goes down his. Oh, it's just brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And yeah, I mean, and there's a cameo by Anne Bancroft, who, of course, Mel Brooks' wife. He produced the film, so that's interesting too. Like, that Mel Brooks, comedic genius Mel Brooks, would produce a film like this. But that's kind of maybe where the point lies. There's a curious exterior. There's something, strange and goofy, but on the inside there's humanity that's unanimous with everybody. Everybody wants the same things out of life. They want to be loved, and they want respect and basic human dignity, which I think John Merrick achieves in this movie. And, sorry, getting a little emotional, but yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful film, and really makes you think about humanity, and kind of what it means to be human. And when we see a struggle with a character like this, I think it kind of enhances that, and makes us think about it a little bit more than normally we wouldn't. And of course, this is somewhat a true story, probably altered for dramatic effect, which obviously, whatever. But I think we find the beauty inside the beast, so to speak, with this movie. So, a great film, one of David Lynch's best. And one of John Hurt's best, one of Anthony Hopkins' best. So I can't praise this movie highly enough. It's definitely a classic, and for the Oscars, Raging Bull should have won it. But I would say this would be a close second. Both black and white films from 1980, both great lead performances. Somebody had to win, but it wasn't John Hurt. But he's still around, so I still have faith that one day he'll win. At least give him an honorary award. I mean, look at his body of work. He's a brilliant actor. But yeah, that'll do it for this review of The Elephant Man. So thank you for watching.